Might help if I plug the microphone in.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I was like, what's
Just a
going
little bit.
on?
I looked at the mixer. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It should be working. Oh, wait a minute. It's not plugged in. All right, everybody. What's going on? Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, let me tell y'all something that you probably didn't know. Jesus is king. That's who the true living king is. And yes, Jesus is still alive. Jesus is in the world right now, and he's doing miraculous things. And of course, you got the evilness there. It's in the world as well. But the spiritual battle that we're all in this together. We have to fight it. So I just want to say thank you, Jesus, in the name of Jesus. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for another day. Lord Jesus, we see this evilness. We see these evil people lying for their father, Satan, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus, we want you to heal their minds. Get them to wake up, Lord Jesus, to know the evil, wicked things of this world, Lord Jesus, and to follow you. In the name of Jesus. What's going on, everybody? Okay, so I just got my new t-shirt in. Y'all want to see this? Can you see this here? Come over here. Y'all see this? Look at this. I voted for this. Y'all like this? I voted for this. President Trump is putting his foot down. He's not playing around this time. And yes, I did vote for this 100%. Okay, I do have the phone line open. I'm just going to say it there. We're going to have it down here in the bottom. So if you want to give me a call while we are live, it is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. Wow. Man, this year, we're already halfway done with this year. Come on, slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, it's almost 6 months to Christmas.
Almost. Isn't this the 6th month now?
Yeah, but
yeah, it's almost, yeah. Wait a minute, it is 6 months, right?
Yeah.
It is 6 months to Christmas.
Yeah.
Half this year is gone.
Half of it is
We're
gone.
already halfway there.
Make it stop.
Make it slow down.
I need Trump.
Yeah,
we want stay Trump in office.
I do like the idea of Trump going on again. I like the idea. It's not gonna happen, right? Because after this, have y'all seen Trump? Trump's hair is white. Remember orange, and they call him Orange Man bad. President Trump's hair, it is straight up white. So I do have something I want to share with you. And of course, we're talking about LA still. Still talking about LA. They're all celebrating law enforcement. Now, law enforcement, police officers, FBI, even the past 4 years, past 8 years, information came out about what they were doing to President Trump. But nonetheless, when you have up and you have against a law because they're upholding, it becomes a different scenario. Now it's one thing that you can't. Like if you're a radical lunatic liberal and you want to go out and protest against people for upholding the law, in America, you can go out and protest against people upholding the law. You can in America. But it becomes a different story when you believe that the people that are upholding the law are doing wrong when they're upholding the law. The law means that you cannot go around and destroy things. The law means that you cannot come into the country illegally. The law means that you have to respect others and not destroy their property. But the radical leftist lunatics see that them destroying stuff, them disrupting the law is a good thing. Even when the radical leftist lunatics weaponize, because you can weaponize the law. They weaponize the law against us as Americans. Guess what happened? We didn't go out and tear up stuff. We didn't go out there and destroy buildings. We didn't attack people, destroy vehicles, graffiti everywhere. We didn't do any of that. Now, we did complain. We use our voice, right? We use our voice, and then we use our voting rights, which, of course, the Demoncrats constantly talk about. Oh, my goodness, the Republicans are going to take away voting rights from illegals that can't vote in the first place. Essentially, that's who they're talking about. That's what they're talking about. They really are. Now, President Trump called in 700 Marines. He called in the National Guard. And of course, all of the radical leftist lunatics are upset because President Trump did this after he told Gruesome Newsom, you get this under control, or I'm going to send in the troops. You get your act together, Gruesome Newsom. He told him that on the phone. So Gruesome Newsom said, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. We're going to let the city burn. And of course, President Trump, knowing how Gruesome Newsom is, knowing Gruesome Newsom would lie to him, President Trump sent in the troops. And now they're all upset because President Trump is bringing order to a blue state. Can you imagine that? And this is how the Demoncrats react. They're reacting all upset because President Trump brought order. Make that make sense. Help me out. See, all this time when they were out there destroying stuff and manipulating the system, they're perfectly fine with it. But when President Trump steps in and said no more to it, then they have a problem. Let me tell you something else, too. They're upset with President Trump because he sent in the troops and said that he did not get approval from Gavin Newsom. This is what they're saying. Oh, he didn't get approval from Gavin Newsom. He's breaking the law. He's unconstitutional, what he's doing. I don't know if there are any other states, maybe New York. I don't even think New York is doing this. But I know for a fact that one state, the state of California, in the United States of America, is the only state that I'm aware of, and there might be some other ones. Look, this the only one we're really talking about right now is California, but there might be some other ones. But I know for sure California is the only state that have told their local law enforcement not to help ICE detain non-American citizens, criminals, rapists, people unaliving people. You see, that's how they say it on TikTok. The governor, the mayor in California have told the local law enforcement not to assist ICE in gathering these hardcore criminals to deport them out of the country. That's the only state that I'm aware of. So what happens is that when ICE shows up to detain these hardcore criminals, the police officers' hands are tied. Their hands are tied when the ICE members are getting physically attacked by these radical leftist lunatics. They're physically getting attacked. And the police department is like, well, nothing I can do about it. So President Trump, because no other state is like this, President Trump told Gavin Newsom, get it on the order, I will send in the troops. Gavin Newsom didn't want to do that because he wanted the ICE agents to be attacked because they're deporting their help. They're deporting their slave labor. This is exactly what these liberals, they want a liberal utopia. They want all of those that not American citizens, or even some American citizens, if they can get them to do so, but to be slave labor in the state of California. That's a liberal utopia. Because now they're upset that President Trump is getting rid of their help. Who's going to pick our crops? Who says that? Back in the slavery days, who's going to pick our crops? If you release our slaves, who's going to do the work and the jobs that we don't want to if you release our slaves back in slavery? Who said that? Who's going to clean our homes? Who's going to do our lawn? Does this sound familiar? This is the year 2025, and we have radical leftist lunatics saying the exact same thing. If President Trump deports these hardworking people, who's going to do the jobs that we as Americans don't want to do? Slave labor. It's disgusting to no end. And it's the same Demoncrat party then as the same Demoncrat party today. What's changed? What's changed? The only thing that has changed is the way they're manipulating people and lying. That's the only thing that's changed. So because Gavin Gruesome Newsom refused to make sure that the ICE agents were able to fulfill their duties that they've been assigned to, President Trump had no choice but to send in the troops. And now they're all upset. Now they're upset. And it would have been to Gruesome Newsom's best, it would have been his best option. It would have worked out beautifully for him had he just assisted the ICE agents to stay under the radar, because Gruesome Newsom is trying to run for the presidency in 2028. So apparently look like Kamala Harris. So they're gonna doing the primary, they're gonna be going at each other. They're gonna have to. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they try to get at each other and at the same time blame President Trump when President Trump has been the only president in my lifetime that has done so much for the American people. And these Democrats don't want that to happen. They're trying to do everything they can to stop it. Everything. It's so bad because President Trump had to send in these 700 Marines, military personnel, National Guard. You even have some people that put on the uniform, split screen it for me, even put on the uniform. You see this lady here? It's a lady. Put on the uniform. And then she's coming out and she's telling other U.S. military personnel to defy orders, not to listen to President Trump, allow the lawlessness to continue. And there's a catcher about this person in the military uniform, which personally, if you ask me, should land her in jail.
We are not pawns for Donald Trump's agenda. Why now? It's because the military was called upon innocent protesters. We, in our oath to serve, we serve the people of the United States. The Constitution, these constitutional rights are being stripped and just denied, and the military will not be pawns to that. So I'm calling upon the conscience of military members who served previously and now. We have a conscience, we have a mind, and we have a duty and moral obligation to say no and resist evil.
So, what I was saying about her, apparently, after this video came out, it went viral. And of course, was it the Pentagon, Shannon, got wind of it?
Yeah.
The Pentagon got wind of her doing this. And she's not even active duty. She's not even in the reserves.
Yeah,
she had this uniform from how many years ago when she was in the military?
She was discharged 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
And it's actually, she's not allowed to wear her uniform.
And she's protesting.
At a protest, correct.
She's in the military uniform. She was a sergeant, apparently, because you can see it on her hat. And she's wearing the uniform, not even active duty any longer. She's out there trying to make it look like the military is against President Trump. This woman should go to jail. She should have to pay a fine and go to jail. She should know better. She should know better. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? She should go to jail. All right, let me move on to this one. And of course, you know, they're setting curfews in California, and they're talking about all of the violence that's happening. Now, Demoncrats saying, oh, it is so wonderful that you're protesting. Go protest against the law, upholding the law. Protest against ICE from deporting hardcore MS-13, Trey de Agua, hardcore criminals. You can go protest in support of these criminals. Go, go, go. They're championing it. They're celebrating it. They're cheering it on. And the same people that are out there, when they realize that them just out there yelling and screaming is not going to change the fact that these hardcore criminals are getting deported, guess what happened? They get irritated. They get frustrated. They get uneasy. They get impatient. And what do they start doing? They start burning stuff. They start attacking people. They start attacking police officers, throwing rocks, everything else, doing horrible things towards police officers because they realize that them out there just screaming and kicking like little tyrant children is not getting them anything that they want. So then they resort to violence. Now, listening to this lady, she's going to tell you, oh, what happens is that the peaceful protesters, they go home and then comes in the agitators. They're not going home. They're still there. Is what it is they get irritated and they get impatient. They're getting angry because they're not getting what they want. Just like a good typical liberal, not get what they want, then they become violent. Oh, we want to shut you down. We want to silence you. I don't like you. They are the same people in the evening destroying stuff, are the same people during the day saying that they're out there peacefully protesting. Now, of course, maybe a couple of them will go home. Sure. Sure, you can't deny that. Maybe a couple of them will go home. Maybe a few, several even. But those same people that were out there earlier today, they end up destroying stuff in the evening. Watch what happens in this video from the Communist News Network.
Hurting. I am deeply proud that downtown has always been the place where Angelenos from all over the city gather to peacefully protest. I support the right to demonstrate, and the mayor and I know that right is sacred, and at times it's necessary, but we must also face that what's happening right now. When these peaceful rallies end and the protesters head home, another element moves in. Opportunists who come in under the cover of a peaceful protest to ravage and destroy. They are ruining local small businesses, smashing storefronts, and threatening the safety of the very community that...
All right, we were listening to the Los Angeles mayor and the Los Angeles police commissioner.
Wait a minute. I wanted to hear what she had to say. Why'd you cut it off? Did y'all catch that? See, now she's going into the people, the agitators coming in, which is Antifa, and like used to be BLM, but BLM's like, we're not getting involved in this one. We're staying out. Because there was a lot of people that's out there that's not American citizens. They stayed out of the whole BLM protest because they didn't want to get caught up. They wanted to stay under the radar. Y'all remember that during the Summer of Love? These people that are here illegally, they stayed up under the radar, so they didn't go out. So now you have BLM saying, stay home. We're not getting involved. And now you have BLM upset with these illegals that are here in America because they're not out there protesting together. They never protested together. And it's still not going to happen. But this dude cutting it off, saying like, oh, we don't want you to hear that. Listen to this. I'm going to take it back just a little bit. Because she's like getting into the part that we want to hear about the agitators, which they are the same people. I don't care what they say. Again, maybe a few of them go home, but it's the same people during the day. Bring it back. Listen to this. Because he cuts her off basically like, nope, this is not what we want on the Communist News Network to be relayed.
They are ruining local small businesses, smashing storefronts, and threatening the safety of the very community that...
All right, we were listening to the Los Angeles mayor and the Los Angeles police commissioner announcing a curfew for parts of downtown Los Angeles, about 1 square mile, effective at 8 p.m. local time.
Wait a minute. What about the violence? I guarantee if these were MAGA Republicans out there destroying stuff, oh my goodness, the MAGA Republicans are so violent. They would be showing destruction, everything. They would be talking about all the businesses that are getting smashed, all of the looting taking place. If it was MAGA Republicans. But because it's not MAGA Republicans, move on from this part. Move on from this segment. We don't want to play this. We don't want to talk about this. It's all about the deception. These evil Demoncrats want to deceive everyone into believing that it's only MAGA Republicans. It's only the right that is violent. It's not the left. And the reason why they cut it off, because we all know that it's these leftist lunatic liberals that are one destroying everything. Jumping on vehicles, throwing bricks through vehicles, police vehicles on fire. This is the radical leftist lunatics doing this, and they know this, but they have to try to push this narrative. And it's all coming down to them trying to blame President Trump for all of this. Oh, it's Trump's fault. Trump's the one that did it. It's his fault. This is the reason why it's happening. It's all Trump. What a bunch of BS. We know that it's not President Trump's fault. President Trump is the one going in, preventing all of it. I want y'all to listen to this clip. This is on Newsmax, and this young man, he lays it all out. And of course, everything that's happening in LA is not the fault of President Trump. And it's not the fault of President Trump when he goes in and said, look, LA is a beautiful city.
And I just want to say,
let me just say this. You can say, LA is a beautiful, you can take it off the screen really quick and then you talk. LA is a beautiful city. LA is a beautiful city. I lived in California. I went to LA. Now, there's parts of LA that's just trashy because it's liberals, right? Liberals, they love trash, the homelessness, everything's happening. But there's parts of LA that is absolutely beautiful. And, that's where the rich people go and because they keep the homeless out, right? They just do what we say, not as we do. But they keep all those out and it's beautiful. And President Trump is saying, look, it's part of the United States of America, so I'm going to do what I have to do because you radical leftist lunatics, Gavin Newsom, Mayor Bass, you're not doing your jobs. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. So President Trump has to step in. Were you going to say, Shannon?
I was going to say, this guy, I just want to remind everybody of who he is. He's a representative from California. His name is, it's Calm DeMaio. Anyways, he's the one, Will, that the other day we brought to everybody's attention that he exposed that all this money is coming from this organization called, was it Chilla or something like that, that got $34 million from the state of California. It's an immigrant sympathizer organization. Now, the same organization, by the way, just got a letter from Tom Hawley requesting some very important documents because he's saying that, listen, apparently there is evidence that you are part of the funding of these protesters and riots. And he tells them that they have to keep all their emails, all their communications about the protests, because it looks like the Congress is going to be investigating this organization. But this guy, thanks to his representative, he's been really hitting it hard and telling us all about him.
I wish they wouldn't tell them that they're going to investigate them. I wish they would just go ahead and get the warrant and just go in. Because just like the FBI, USAID, they were shredding stuff as soon as they knew they were coming. These evil people don't care. They're already corrupt. Why wouldn't they shred the information, delete data?
What's going on in Los Angeles? What do you make of it?
Well, I'm also a member of the California State Assembly, so I am receiving updates as they come in, and it is an absolute violent mess. Gavin Newsom and California Democrats are singularly responsible for the mayhem that's broken out in California because, number one, they incited it. They took to social media last week on Friday when ICE conducted their raids to, remember, let's be clear, as Jason just said, arrest criminals, some of the worst criminals, sex offenders, rapists, burglars, people with violent crimes, assault perpetrators. All of these violent criminals were being rounded up by ICE, not just people here without immigration status. We're talking about real criminals. And what they did is they said that we all needed to take to the streets. So Newsom, Karen Bass, Democrat politicians called on people to go to the streets. Second, they fund the organizations that are organizing these protests. We found over $34 million went to the Coalition for Immigrant Humane Rights in Los Angeles, $34 million in state taxpayer money. And they're the lead organization, not only organizing these protests, but they run a hotline telling people where the ICE agents are.
I mean, you hear this? I remember when President Trump and Tom Homan was saying that they're getting ready to go out and apprehend the hardcore criminals. The hardcore criminals, I mean, just monsters, right? They created this website where they would show and had it where people can go on there and report where ICE is located. And this is part of the reason. And then when they, ICE, of course, the FBI got wind of this and they started not allowing this information to go out. But people were trying to say, okay, they're spotted here. Get there, get there, get there. And then they even try to dox ICE members. This is part of the reason why Mayor Bass and other Democrats and Hakeem Joffrey's in his position of all people wanting to dox these ICE members to try to prevent them from doing their jobs too. This is my personal opinion. This is total tyranny what the radical Democrats are doing. Tyranny. And they're wanting, look, let me just get to it. Look.
And where they should be deploying to. So they're basically giving people their assignments as to where they're to show up and to attack ICE agents. And then finally, they try to shift the blame to Donald Trump. This blame is uniquely at the feet of Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and the other Democrats that have created a complete mess out here with their sanctuary state policies and actually have had a very heavy hand in organizing these protests.
You know what? That's 100% true. He's sitting there saying, let me do a little recap on what he just said. He's basically saying because of what Gavin Newsom was doing and Mayor Bass, they're actually contributing to the rioting that's happening in the state of California. As I mentioned earlier on, this wouldn't even be a story right now. We wouldn't even be talking about it. President Trump wouldn't have to send in the troops had they allowed the police department, the local police department in California, to assist ICE in apprehending the hardcore criminals. But the Demoncrats don't want them to do that. As I mentioned yesterday, when they're talking about, oh, they're just at Home Depot trying to get a job. These hardcore criminals just robbed somebody the day before, or they just raped a little boy the day before, or they even unalived someone the day before, and then now they're at Home Depot trying to get a job, and the Democrats are saying, oh, they're just at Home Depot trying to get a job, trying to do the jobs that we don't want to do. That's all that they're there for. Disregard all of the criminal acts that they just committed. See, this is the reason why I call them Demoncrats, because they embrace everything that is wicked. Everything that is wicked.
Even found politicians from the state assembly participating in these protests and urging people to get more aggressive. A member of the LA City Council said that Democrats would be able to organize and be resilient and change up their tactics to stop ICE terrorists.
Wow.
Yeah. This sort of rhetoric needs to stop because it only inflames the tensions out here.
ICE terrorists? You can take it off the screen. ICE terrorists? Really? ICE terrorists? I mean, really? ICE terrorists. This is what they're calling. Not the people out there terrorizing businesses, burning down businesses, going in, looting businesses. Not them. No, not them. But ICE. Let me show you something. Can you come to this camera over here for me? Look, this is what and remove the lower third for me, if you would. This is what I voted for. Y'all like this? Y'all like this? Now, this is on my website. If you want to get one of these, right? Because, you know, the radical lunatic liberals, when they see me, I just got my shirt in the mail today. I just got it today. And I can't wait to wear it out. I can't wait to wear it out. I'm going to be so excited to wear it. I'm going to walk out there. Yep. I sure did. I voted for this. Get them all out. Get them all out. You're here breaking the law. You got to go. You're breaking the law. You got to go. Right? So I can't wait to wear it. I can't wait to wear it. And this is what I voted for. Look at this next video that I have for you. Because this is 100%. Oh, you want to put that up on the screen? Yeah. Put it up on the screen. On my website, I voted for this. This is what I voted for. I voted for this, right? I voted for this. Right there on my website, UniteAmericaFirst.com. If you want to help me out, look, you getting one of these, you're helping me out. And you get something that's really nice. I mean, does it look good? Come on. Does it look good? I voted for this. I surely did. I voted for what President Trump is doing. I surely did. UniteAmericaFirst.com. UniteAmericaFirst.com if you want to get one. Actually, I'll put the direct link in some of the feeds. And I'll put them in all the feeds I can. If you want to get one. Now, this video I want to share with you is exactly what I voted for. I voted for them to apprehend these people. And be honest with you, the Demoncrats keep screaming, oh, President Trump is just picking random people up off the street and deporting them. Have you seen a random person, an American citizen, get on camera and say, President Trump's military picked me up, or President Trump's ICE picked me up and deported me? Where's the video of it? They show a video of a Demoncrat going to El Salvador, talking to a MS-13 member, Garcia. They got that on camera with him talking to him. So where is the video of the American citizen that was just randomly picked up off the streets of America, and a Demoncrat goes to that country fighting for him? Oh, you're not going to see it. For one reason, it's never happened. For the second reason, if you're an American citizen and the ICE pick you up and happen to deport you by accident, well, then they'll talk about it. They'll talk about it. So it never happened. It never happened. But this is what I voted for. I voted for this. Get them.
Get out of here. Nobody did anything. What the fuck was that? Who are they arresting?
See that? Who are they arresting? Calling them cowards, right? Who are they arresting? When I first saw this video, you know what it made me think about? It made me think about the Civil War. And I actually reshared this particular clip on my X page. And I put on there, I said, Second Civil War in America. And then I said, who won the first Civil War? I said, wait a minute, let me take it back. I'm trying to remember exactly how I said it. It's not really important exactly how I said it, but this is how I said it. I'm going to paraphrase it. I said, who's going to win? That's what I said. Who's going to win the Second Civil War? And then I said, hint, it's going to be the same party that won the first one. The same party that won the first one. Because did you know? See, a lot of times when they talk about the Civil War, they talk about the North versus the South. The North versus the South. But they always, when I was growing up, that's all I ever heard it as, right? When they would teach it somewhat in history, it's always the North versus the South. That's how I always heard it. Until I got older, then I realized it was actually the Republicans versus the Demoncrats. I guarantee there's people with their entire adult lifehood never even heard of that, never even thought about it. Because they taught people so much in school that it was just the North versus the South, and they wanted to leave that information out. And they do this with a lot of things. They always leave out the key details about everything that they're doing. Or they manipulate it as much as possible. The North versus the South, which in actuality was the Republicans versus the Demoncrats. The Demoncrats just happen to be South in hell because they're Demoncrats. They're from the pits of hell. You can't make this up. You can't make this stuff up. And the Republicans just have to be from North, looking up. Not to say that they're angels. I mean, my goodness. But it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Here's another example of how the Democrats lie, how they're manipulating everything. And of course, they come out there and say, look, we want peaceful protesting. But in actuality, they're cheering on the violence. They really are. But they go, well, we like the peaceful protesting. That's perfectly fine. If you have law enforcement out there arresting Trey De Agua, MS-13, and you want to protest against ICE for doing that, please do. Please do. But then he turns around and tries to say that we're against people burning stuff and looting and all this other stuff. Bunch of BS. He's only saying it because he's trying to make it look like they're on the right side of everything, and they're not.
Peacefully protesting is an American right. It's part of the rich tradition of our country. Burning cars, looting, and destroying property are crimes. And anyone who takes advantage of this situation and engages those crimes should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. State and local law enforcement have repeatedly said they have the resources necessary to handle the situation. It is completely un-American and needlessly provocative for Donald Trump to deploy National Guard and Marines to Southern California.
And again, I just mentioned this earlier. Gavin Newsom, the mayor of the idiot mayor in LA, have told the police department not to assist ICE in apprehending these hardcore criminals that's doing terrible things in the streets of America. Do not help them. If they're going and they're picking these people up at the Home Depot, they're picking these people up at these factories, do not do it. And you know how they're getting on the radar of ICE? It's really a no-brainer here. Does anyone not know the answer to that? Right? Ask anyone even a question that this is information that they're leaving out. How are they getting on the radar of ICE? Right? If they're not breaking the law, keeping their head down, working, trying to become an American citizen even, Why are they getting on the radar of ICE? Because they broke the law, not just coming into the country illegally, but they're breaking the law with the drugs, the sex trafficking, the raping, the unaliving people, getting behind the wheel of a vehicle, drinking and driving. These people are doing this stuff, so it sends red flags, and they're getting on the radar. And the local police department, their hands have been tied, so they're not even arresting these people. So here comes ICE. These people are on our radar. So they find out, they've been doing surveillance, they know where they are, they go to apprehend them. And while they go and apprehend them, they find other illegals in that vicinity. Nope, you gotta go to. You gotta go. You're all here together, you gotta go. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get up out of here. Right? Because home could be wherever, outside of the country. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta leave here.
So I'm going to talk about the National Guard first. The legal authority Trump is using is 10 U.S.C. Section 12406. I encourage all of you to read it. It very specifically says the only way he can do this is through the orders of the governors of the states. Governor Newsom clearly has not given this order. The National Guard troops are following unlawful orders. I ask every National Guard person who is under this order to read the order, to see if it came from Governor Newsom, and then to read the law, and then decide for themselves if they are following unlawful orders.
So now you have a president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, they've given the order to the National Guard, and you notice he didn't say anything about the Marines, right? Because look, nothing. But the National Guard in California, President Trump basically made a phone call and said, I'm federalizing you to go in to do the job because you have a tyrannical local state government. See, in the Constitution, it says when you have a tyrannical government, it is up to we the people to step in to do the job. Well, President Trump is part of we the people. And the people in California, they've been disenfranchised for many, 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 many years. Ever since these log cabin Republicans and the Democrats got together to change up the election system in California. If you don't know what a log cabin Republican is, you need to go to Google and type it in. Type in log cabin Republicans in California. Because that's to my understanding, that's who changed the election system there. And all of the Republicans, they say some of them try to be really stern, and there's some of them that's not associated with the log cabin Republicans, but there are quite a few that are. I mean, a great deal of them are. This is the reason why it's such a big thing in California. It's a big thing in California.
Also turns out that when Secretary Hegseth ordered this deployment and carrying out those orders, he put all these troops into Southern California without federal funding for food, water, fuel, equipment. They were sleeping on the floor. They were sleeping on each other. It is a complete mess. Secretary Hegseth's repeated incompetence is next level. He needs to resign.
This is a bunch of BS. Dude is straight up lying. See, you know what I can't stand? Is that these people can go behind the podium, go in front of the cameras, and just blatantly lie to the American people, and nothing happens to them. They're okay with doing it, and they find it as a means to lie to the American people for an agenda. The images that he's talking about, Shannon, you don't by chance have that really quick, do you? So there's these two images. They're showing military personnel laying on the floor, sleeping on the floor. Well, come to find out, the actual truth about that, allegedly, what they've been reporting, is that these pictures are of military personnel on the floor in Afghanistan because of Joe Biden. Conveniently, they leave that out. They know the truth in all of this, but they're expecting the people out in the country not to know. And they're like, oh my goodness, look what they're doing. I talked to a young man yesterday that's in California that actually had the conversation with one of the Marines. And the Marine says, no, we're in the hotel. We're in the hotel. Actually, Pete Hegseth sent us all pizza one night. He sent us all pizza. Yeah, here are the images. So just like another lie, they get the lie and they run with it. They're running with the lie because they're expecting people not to believe it. And I haven't heard the Communist News Network say anything on it. And before if you would blatantly put out false information, disinformation, like the left is doing here, and you put this information on Facebook, because they would do it a lot of time. If you were to take, let's just say, if you were to take that image and put it on Facebook and say, this is an actual image from Afghanistan, the fake fact checkers would come back and say, this is misleading. Even though it's true statement that you said, they would come back and say it's misleading. Why? Because they would comply with these idiots here. They would comply with them, saying it's better to lie to the American people than get the American people to believe the truth and understand the truth. And let me share this one with you. This is, because we're going to run out of time here. There's so much to share with you. This is one of the this is the CEO, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Shannon? He's the CEO of one of the warehouses that ICE just raided.
Yeah, Glen Valley Foods.
Glen Valley Foods.
In Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay, in Nebraska. So ICE just raided this location.
Correct.
And I want y'all to listen to what he's saying. Listen to what this man is saying about ICE showing up to this facility. And this is what the Demoncrats are trying to prevent. Because who else is going to do these jobs? Sound like slave labor to you?
Yeah. Well, Harold, did you care if I got a couple comments?
Well, go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah. So did you just leave the building?
Correct.
And do you work there?
Correct.
And what's your name and what's your title there?
My name is Gary Rower, and I'm the CEO and the owner.
Okay. So do you know about this in advance?
Of course not. It's a raid.
So how many people are being affected by this, you know?
97.
97 people? Have you been told what's going to happen to them?
Nobody knows.
So did they let
They're being screened right now.
Did they let you go in and talk to anybody or be a part of it at all?
Yes.
So what did you have to do? Just stand there and watch what was happening?
Yes.
And what did they say about your company? Are you under any charges because you had aliens?
Absolutely not, because we e-verified 100% of all the employees. We've done that since the company started.
Okay, and what's the exact name of the company?
Glen Valley Foods.
And
So you hear this? He said they use e-verify 100% ever since they started the company.
Yeah.
E-verify. So there's two things that's possibly happening here. Either e-verify does not work, or e-verify has been compromised.
That's right.
Which one do you think it is? Let me say that again. Because he just said, it's 97 employees that the ICE apprehended. And 97, well, maybe it was more than that, but out of all the ones that they just...
In this facility, there was 97 people.
Out of all the people that they just apprehended, 97, at least 97, it could have been 100 of them that they apprehended, but nonetheless, 97 of them had IDs.
Yep.
And he e-verified every last one of them.
Every fake ID, and it went through.
Every last one of them.
So there's a whole process going on right now. There's a process of giving out fake IDs.
Yeah.
And then putting in e-verify not to recognize them as fake IDs.
So there it is again. Is the e-verify, is it actually working? Or has it been compromised?
It's been compromised. Come on. This doesn't happen like this.
These are 90. So did it say how many people that they apprehended? Was it more than 97 or was it total 97?
It said 97.
Okay, so 97. And how many of those out of those 97 had fake IDs?
All 97.
So 100% of the people.
100% of the 97.
100% of the people that they apprehended all had fake IDs.
All had fake IDs
come on.
that were verified
and he
as
used
legit.
He used e-verify to make sure that these people that he's hiring are on the up and up, that they've done what they're supposed to do. So he's not trying to break the law. He said, look, I use e-verify. So my question is, can we go down this rabbit hole? Can we get someone to go? Where's Doge?
We
need Elon Musk's Doge to go to e-verify and look at the books.
Yeah,
Someone's cooking them, or it just doesn't work.
In a sense, ICE knows that this is compromised. They know that these people weren't really legit through e-verify. That's why they're at the plant right now. Yeah. And it is sad because these people are also misguiding these businesses. If anybody is doing anybody disjustice, it's the people that lied, that created these fake IDs, pushed them through E-Verify, and now this poor business owner has to deal with the fact that he just lost 97 workers, not because of ICE, but because whoever did this falsely allowed them to be seen as legitimate workers here in America. That's the problem. But see, Will, you know what's going to happen. People are going to go, oh, these poor businesses are suffering because ICE is taking all their workers. Well, you falsely, whoever the who is, falsely allowed these people to work here in America. That's where this real problem is coming from. It's coming from the corrupt, the structure of corruption that happened under Biden in order to get these illegals here in America and working and throughout the country. That is what the injustice was here across America.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Well, I have a video I want to share with you, and this one is with Pete Hegseth. You know, because they're just bringing up Pete Hegseth and talking about Pete Hegseth. And I don't know if I'm going to play all of this, but well, I think we can. We have enough time. Pete Hegseth didn't back down. And they're trying, of course, they want to blame President Trump, and they want to blame Pete Hegseth for sending in support for ICE. You're not supposed to send in support for ICE. We want people to be able to attack ICE. You're not supposed to help them. We don't have our local police department helping them, and you're not supposed to help them.
Justification for using the military for civilian law enforcement purposes in LA? Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals. That should happen in any city, Minneapolis or Los Angeles. And if they're attacked, that's lawless, and President Trump believes in law and order. So he has every authority, and he has done mobilizing National Guard or active duty troops under U.S. code to protect federal agents in their job, which is exactly what we're doing, and we're proud to do it. We're proud to do it.
10 U.S.C. of the U.S. Code 12406 as a legal basis that the president used, cites 3 examples and circumstances for the Guard: invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion or dangerous rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States, or the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Which authority is triggered here to justify the use?
I don't know. You just read it yourself, and people can listen themselves, but it sounds like all 3 to me. If you've got millions of illegals and you don't know where they're coming from, they're waving flags from foreign countries and assaulting police officers and law enforcement officers. That's the problem.
You notice that's what they disregard all of that. They're flying foreign flags in the United States of America while they're attacking police officers and they're attacking ICE agents. That's fine. We're not talking about that. This is what we want. We want this. The radical leftist lunatic liberals, that's what they want. But you're not supposed to stop them from doing it.
Laws of the United States?
No, the governor of California is unable to execute the laws of the United States.
The president, you said all 3
governor
apply.
of the California has failed to protect his people, along with the mayor of Los Angeles, and so President Trump has said he will protect our agents, and our Guard and Marines are proud to do it.
The law also says, Mr. Secretary, that the orders for these purposes shall be issued through governors of the states.
You and I both know that President Trump has all the authorities necessary, and thankfully he's willing to do it on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles, on behalf of our ICE agents, and behalf of our country.
We've also pulled $1 billion for the border as well. So this just goes into the same fund, 134. What did
Congressman, what's the
134 million? I was asking Ms. McDonald.
Actually, he wasn't. He was addressing that to Pete Hegseth. He was straight up. But then he's like, he can't handle Pete Hegseth, so he has to move on. But he was originally addressing him with this next question. I mean, these people are snakes. They're supposed to be American citizens. They're supposed to be. And they're supposed to be on Capitol Hill fighting for Americans. This is what it's all about. But the Democrat parties are not fighting for the American people. They're straight up not doing that. Not at all. Now, yesterday, and even a little bit today, I brought up the fact how the Democrat Party was a party of slavery. They created the KKK. And earlier today, I brought up how the Democrats want slave labor. Who's going to pick our crops? Remember that slave time? Who's going to do the jobs? Who's going to do our lawn? Who's going to do these jobs that we don't want, American people don't want, right? If Abraham Lincoln takes away our slaves, who's going to do all of these jobs? If President Trump takes away all of the illegals, who's going to do all of these jobs? It's the same thing, people. Same thing. Well, listen to Vivek Ramaswamy. He lays it out as well. And he brings up stuff that I hadn't even, mentioned. A lot of people even bringing it up too. And I heard someone else even bring up about what happened at Central High School. Remember what happened there? The radical leftist lunatics didn't want black people going to school to get some education. But it took a Republican to step in with the National Guard. They had to federal the National Guard because the Demoncrats refused to do the right thing. Same thing today.
I know Gavin Newsom. I actually happen to like him as a person. The reality is he's not going to like what I have to say on this, which is that his behavior is starting to resemble that of another Democratic governor from U.S. history by the name of George Wallace, who was the governor of Alabama, who famously stood in the way of federal desegregation. And in 1963, President John F. Kennedy had to deploy the National Guard of Alabama, just like President Trump is doing today. And I know that's counterintuitive to some people, but the parallels are actually pretty striking if you think about it. Democrat governors, when you look at George Wallace, he resisted desegregation. Gavin Newsom is resisting deportations. George Wallace wanted segregated cities. Gavin Newsom wants sanctuary cities. George Wallace stood in the school door blocking the way. Gavin Newsom is blocking the ICE vans. It's the same Democrat governor playbook. You dodge the feds, you rally the radicals, and most importantly of all, you do it in front of the cameras.
Yep.
Because what they were both doing is really carving their Democratic primary path for their presidential ambitions. And Jesse, you can mark my words on this one. Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions are going to end in the same place that George Wallace's did, in the dustbins of history where it belongs. That's just the truth.
It really is. And see, Gavin Newsom, this is part of the reason why Gavin Newsom is screaming, just arrest me already. Just arrest me. See, Gavin Newsom, part of the reason why he wanted these ICE agents attacked, other than they want to keep the Tre de Agua and MS-13 there, probably getting money from the drug cartel out of Mexico. He probably is. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if these Democrats are getting money, right? With all the trafficking of children. They're benefiting some kind of way. Would not surprise me. Not at all. Not one bit. But Gavin Gruesome Newsom, he wants President Trump to arrest him. Just arrest me already. Turn me into a martyr. This will elevate me for 2028. And President Trump is like, dude, bruh. And just like Vivek said there, he says, I like Gavin Newsom, but, President Trump, the way he says it, that he's how does President Trump refer to Gavin Newsom? He's nice towards him, and then he just lays it out like he's missing his marbles, right? I forget exactly how Trump says it. But he's still screaming, Tom Homan, President Trump, just arrest me. Because he knows that it will elevate him with inside of the Democrat Party. He needs this elevation right now. And President Trump is not giving it to him. So what happens? He lies about Trump. He comes out and just straight up lies, trying to hope that he gets under President Trump's skin enough. And what these stupid lunatic liberals have not figured out, while they're playing checkers, President Trump is playing 4 and now 5D chess. President Trump is seeing their game. He's seeing it. Now, the only way that I believe that Gruesome Newsom should be arrested is if the local state police arrest him. Because they gave him a stand down. They gave the police department all across the country, all across the state, to stand down and to help ICE apprehend Tre de Agua and MS-13. If I'm not mistaken, the police department there have taken the oath. And they're being told not to uphold that oath. They should go arrest Mayor Boss, put her in handcuffs, have it all on camera. I'm talking about the local police department, not President Trump. President Trump just needs to sit back and watch. I'm just going to watch it. Get the popcorn out and just watch it all unfold. That's who should be arresting Gavin Newsom. That's who should be arresting them. And apparently, I know a lot of police officers in California. I've had police officers in California come up to me and they said, Will, I watch you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I've had police officers walk up to me and say this. I can't tell you how good that made me feel. And they kept saying, keep going. So there are really good men and women in the police department in California, but their pensions are being held over their head. And they said, if you don't do these unlawful orders, that you're going to have to lose your pension. Me personally, what should happen, and this should happen across the country, when you join the police department, and you join the police department, let's say you join the police department and you say, okay, I'm agreed to be in the police department for 20 years and I'll retire. Depending on how old you are, right? 20 years, I'll retire after that. And so, okay, you're making a commitment. Like in the military, in the military, people make commitments to be in the military. And the reason why I say this, and it's not the way it is today, and I don't know why it's not, but the reason why I say this, because if you have a tyrannical government like California with Gruesome Newsom and these mayors, and they're going telling the police chiefs, saying, hey, if you do not follow this unlawful order, that you're going to lose your pension. What should happen is that the police chief and the police officers should uphold the oath that they took and not do the unlawful order that the Demoncrats are trying to get them to do. And I don't care if it's Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. And then they show it and they say, look, this is what the governor wanted me to do. We have ICE coming into the city. ICE is apprehending Trey de Agua, MS-13, rapists, right? Apprehending all of these people doing all these crimes. And we said, no, we're going to help them do this because they're getting the element off the street. This is what we joined the force for. So when the government comes back down and say, okay, you didn't follow my orders, not the oath that you took, but you didn't follow my orders, we're going to fire you. And then at that point, any police officer, any police chief, and says, okay, fine, fire me. What should happen is that the state should have to pay the remainder balance of their pay and their pension. All one lump sum. You know how quick it will come to an end of them doing that? Think about it. Everybody is a police officer or used to be a police officer. What I just said, does this sound like a good idea to you? I'm not one, and this is the way it should be. This will prevent these evil people from getting police officers to violate the oath that they took. Why is Will Johnson the only one saying this? All of these years, I've yet to hear any politician or anybody say this. I'm not saying that they haven't. I just haven't heard them say it. Hey, let me tell you about this great deal because we're at the end really quick at mypillow.com. You can go to mypillow.com/Will. Now, Mike Lindell, he's like getting hammered right now, and he's really trying to fight for the country, and he's really trying to make a difference. So if you go to mypillow.com/Will, or even just go to mypillow.com and use promo code Will, you will get the best deal. Not only will you be helping out Will, but you will be helping out Mike Lindell.
Yeah, and his office sent us an email, Will, saying that his trial started on June 2nd. It's the voting machine companies that are suing him or taking him to court.
Well, actually, it's the other way around, right? I thought he was going after, because they went after him and they said it was what he did was unlawful. I'm going to get more detail because that's what I understood. But nonetheless, you're right, Shannon. It's about these machines.
Well, they're suing him. I just read his thing. They're suing him, but he wanted them to, so everything could come to light in the courts.
They can expose it.
Right. Because that's the only way everything comes out is if it goes to trial. He can give all the information.
Okay, so this is the original case then.
He's asking for support. He really needs a lot of support. So yes, please go to mypillow.com/Will, shop my store, My Pillow, use promo code Will.
Yep, just use promo code Will when you check out. Use promo code Will when you check out. You get the best deal. I'm telling you right now. And look, he's an American-based business, and they're trying to crush him. We're at war in this country, and it's not the same war as it was before. They're coming after us financially, trying to crush all of us. Hey, let me say thank you to Filter Dog, talking about finances financially. Filter Dog, thank you so much for the gold pills on pill.net. And thank you everyone on YouTube that hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up for me on YouTube, as well as on Rumble, please hit that thumbs up. And if you're watching on Facebook and you're watching on X, please share the video, hit the heart button.